Hi guys, welcome to Tell Insights. Today we're talking to Josephine Maejiires. Josie is the current captain of the Fiji Bulikula Women's Rugby League team, the National Rugby League team. She is also a qualified town planner, an expert in heritage protection, a fitness fanatic, and the mum of 4 wonderful young people who are growing up and forging their own paths of success. Josie has an amazing story to tell, overcoming adversity to complete her degree, then her masters, and then, when most players are retiring, taking on a rugby league career. In this episode we talk to Josie about her journey from Fiji to Sydney, her progression through school, overcoming adversity to complete Year 12, her degree, her masters, and then to advance in the field of heritage protection. We also touch on her fitness journey and her first move into rugby union and then onto rugby league. I hope you enjoy our chat with Josie. It's full of insights and it's full of inspiration for us all.
Bulikula taking advantage again, contracted to the New Zealand Warriors for this season. There's Maejirres, natural leader, played a lot of rugby union and the league, strong defensively, we know that. Cook, straight through the middle. Cook dragged down by the jersey. Buckle up for a tremendous second half of rugby league, but this one's not all over yet. Major.
So welcome, Josephine, to Tell Insights. Thank you for coming on board and having a chat with us this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to the chat and what we sort of talk about. So thanks for coming on board.
Oh, glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. It's an honor to share, my story and some of the things that you want to, tap into. Yeah.
No, I look forward to it, Josephine. I thought we'd just sort of go right back, I guess, to your journey growing up and where you grew up and your journey through Sydney.
Yeah. I grew up in Fiji on a farm with my grandparents. Mum came here when she was, she had us and she was young, looking for better opportunities for us. So I grew up on a farm. Always been athletic. Always into sports when I was young. Mainly track and field was my thing. And then when I came here at the age of, I think 12, I've just started high school in one term, and then came over to Sydney, Australia. And since then, I've always lived in Sydney, straight from the farm in Fiji. I mean, English was always a number one language at school, so English was never an issue. I think just going cross culture, type of living, standard of living was quite different to adapt to, especially coming from then go straight into high school. Going to year 7 here at high school was daunting. The style of teaching, the style of discipline was totally different. In Fiji, you're not allowed to talk back to the teacher. You get discipline with hidings or, with a stick. And then over here, you see kids just slamming doors and talking back. And I was like, oh, wow, it's like a totally different, it would just open your eyes to a lot of things and the changes in different, standards and values and, education system.
And whereabouts is your farm in Fiji? Whereabouts is your village?
My village, I was brought up through my mum's family. Mum and dad split up when I was really little. Dad's from Laos, mum's from Naila, Tai Level. So that's not far from the Nosori airport. It's another international airport.
What does Fiji mean to you?
Fiji means a lot to me. I guess, coming over here at such a young age, it's such an honor to just, to be part of a great nation, a great country that's so, and you look at the World Rugby Sevens and you see how good they're performing and it's my culture, and we're very big on our culture and we're very big in family and the bonding, and it's not just being a Fijian, it's about Fiji so embroidered into, where you come from. So whenever you meet a Fijian, they say, oh, so where you from? Like you explain your mum's village and your dad's village and the ties, the cultural ties, it's so diverse and it's so unique. And I teach it to my kids, to my 4 kids that I have here. I've taken them back. I took them back to Fiji when they were very little. I think we're due for another one. Yeah, take pride in it. Thank you. Yeah.
And you touched on that before, your movement from Fiji to Penrith, so west of Sydney.
Yeah.
What were the biggest adjustments? What were the biggest things that you found that you needed to adjust to?
I believe is I think just being at school every day. And I think because when I came here, I have to go straight to school, and being at school just to adjust to being around other kids, being around other high school, and just the pressures of high school, the pressures of speaking English and being fluent in English, and being so good at school. I was very academic in my school years. I think coming from being raised on a farm and being raised in Fiji, when you come from nothing to here and you see all the opportunities, I strive to work hard. I strive to, I did well in all my subjects. I did well at school, everything I applied myself. And I think just the upbringing from Fiji, that, that attitude and that hard work, that mentality, I think coming from nothing, and when you come to Australia and you're like, wow, I can do so much here. I can achieve so much. And I think coming as a young girl at that age, that was the biggest mindset that drove me to work hard, always have a work hard mentality, good work ethic. And so I think the biggest adjustment is school, because I spent most of my time, the first high school years was just at school. Mum always tie herself into the local community here, so we always go to a Fijian church. So I didn't lose much of that. And keeping in touch with, our relatives, our aunties. So Mum's one of the 13, one of the 15.
Wow.
Yes.
So a whole rugby team.
It's a whole rugby team. You name it. So a few of her siblings in Sydney and Brisbane, and also Melbourne. So Christmas was always a big thing, or someone's birthday, or someone. So that's always so that part of me being, with families and all that wasn't lost. Although I miss my extended families and how back home, but that was easy to adjust because I had mum, and all of my growing up, I never had mum. So being a young woman growing up and being a young girl, a teenager, that was so important that I actually get time to, to live with her and be with her and, have a mum around. Yeah.
And you spoke before about your achievements at school, and that opened a number of doors for you into university and higher education, and now your current work. Can you tell me about that journey, where that took you?
Yes. I fell pregnant at a very young age. Then mum said, look, you need to go back to finish off your high school. Went back to school, did academically well in 3-unit geographies and business studies, one of the top 10 in New South Wales back then.
Wow.
So by then I didn't have my mum was still paying lawyers for my my visa to be able to stay here and continue my further education. So then and the beautiful thing was my school, because they saw I had Raymond, and then I came back and finished my study, they did a petition. They did my papers and went into they organized all the things with the immigration, went in, and then did also well in the HSC so then they said to the immigration, look, we want this girl to continue her studies. And I just had Raymond. So it came down to 10 days before the university cutoff was due for me to, they did the petition, all the schools and the teachers, they signed the petition, did all the paperwork, and this is what the school was driving this. Mum had no idea. Mum was a single mum. She was working 2 jobs, looking after me and my sister and my younger brother. And I just thought, I need to get myself a good life. I've made a mistake. I've fell pregnant, got that. And then, a few days before the cutoff, immigration said to me, you need to come in, pick up some paperwork for you. Got my visa approved. And then straight away, I went back to school, teachers, put all the university stuff together, then, submit my applications to university. So, I selected an environmental science degree. And I got into, so successfully I got into university, juggled being a young mum and doing university full time. But I wasn't doing any sports then. It was just raising raising Raymond, who's now 24. And you should see mum's face when I came back from school. with the paperwork, and yeah, she just sobbed in tears because she had no idea I was doing that in the backbone, and got all that. Then I told her I'm going to go to university, and then I got in, and I think 6 months into my degree, I realized I don't think I could do science for the rest of the 4 years. So then I went to a course information day where they had town planning was advertised, and I thought, it had environmental planning in front of it. So I thought, this sounds safe. Got into it, did 3 years and 4 years out of it, and so now I'm a qualified professional town planner, and I've had 20 years experience in local government, and I've just got a recent job at state government, so doing their project housing developments and the proposals and for community housing and social housing. Yeah.
Wow, that's an incredible journey. And to juggle that with family and the stress of not knowing whether you're going to stay or not, I can't imagine what that would have been like. And I can imagine the relief when it came through. So you finished year 12 with baby? With Raymond?
Yeah, finished with baby, and then I had 2 daughters during uni. I don't know why I'd done all this to myself. So I had Sweden and Marcia while I was at university. So by the time I graduated, I had Raymond, Sweden, and Marcia.
Wow.
Yes.
Can I ask Josephine which school you went to? Which high school was the one that threw so much incredible support behind you?
Ashcroft High School. Ashcroft High School.
Yeah,
because so Jason Taylor is our head coach now, and then I said to him, did you go to Ashcroft High School? And he said, yeah. And I said, I also went there too. And he goes, no way. So,
We were speaking before, you spoke about your master's, so you completed your master's as well. Can you tell me about that and what that involved and how you become interested in that particular field?
Yeah, so when I got into my first contract at local government after university was at Bankstown Council. So when I went into Bankstown Council, I got straight into a strategic planner, something like, planning cities, designing plans, master plans, and for local centres and town centres. And I've always been given the heritage portfolio to, plan for heritage conservations for council buildings and local heritage items. And then from that, I finished my 2 years at Bankstown. I went on to Penrith Council. And Penrith Council was my longest council. It was like my family because I spent 10 years there. So since I got my job at Penrith, I moved the kids. By that time, I was a single mum. I on my own with my 4 kids. Had Aquila at Bankstown Council while I was at Bankstown, so worked up until I was due. Had the baby, had to go back after 4 months. After 4 months, and then finished my contract there. That's when I went to Fiji, took the kids to Fiji for a break, came back, and I scored the job at Penrith. And being at Penrith for 10 years, not only was I doing town planning, I was also doing heritage conservation, heritage management. So, and through Penrith Council, you can also get education assistance. And because for my colleagues and my mentors, they said, look, since you're already doing heritage management and conservation, why don't you get qualified in it? And then I spoke to my boss and my manager there, and I said, look, there's a university degree at University of Sydney, which is a master's in architecture, which specializes in heritage conservation. Did that for 2 years part-time. So what that lent me was, so I specialize in heritage. So what that means is do construction management on heritage buildings. It can be either local items or local heritage items or state government items. I specialize in that with council by, if any proposal comes through. Say, for example, you want to, you own a hotel and the hotel is a heritage listed item. I then guide you through how to manage the alterations and aspects of it right up to construction and occupation. So yeah, it's a good field. I love it, and
I can imagine it's both a challenge and interesting at the same time, is it?
It is interesting. It was something that I never really planned on that path. It was just I was just landed into it, and then heritage consultants out there that actually skilled in that area and also qualified in it. So I thought, it's a good field, and I've gathered all that experience at council, and I like to help out, especially the mum and dads with heritage buildings, companies, and that I could give back to what I've learned and help them through the development process. Yeah.
Is there one particular project you can recall that you take a fair bit of pride in? Because I gather when you're protecting the past and helping build the future, there's a fair bit of satisfaction and pride that can come with that. Is there one particular project you can point to or remember, or that has
I think it's the heritage funding programs that I did at Penrith Council. So what we did was we kind of initiated what we found was the local heritage properties, which are owned by the mum and dads, are finding it hard to upkeep and maintain the heritage properties. So we look at other pilot programs that are happening in other local government areas, and it was the first ever hasn't been done for Penrith. And I spoke to my manager and said, look, why don't we try and do this? We have to do a grant funding program and seek funding from the government, so then the government can give some bit of funding to the local government, and we can tele that out. Then we did a dollar for dollar funding. Wrote to heritage property owners. We got funding, we've got expression of interest, and they got to be willing to pay, dollar for dollar on certain alterations to their house or alterations to their roofing, anything that will maintain and upkeep their building, and give it a bit of a lifespan on the property. That was, I really like that, because it was like a first heritage funding program that we did for the council, and it's continuing. And so it's good to look back and see that some of the work you've done, it continues, and just give a bit of, even if it's a 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, it's money that they can, they can match it with that amount and upkeep their building. Yeah, so that's what I take pride in as well. Yeah.
With that, quite an incredible journey, that drive and that concentration and the resilience too, to get through the hurdle, I guess, of having your children at a time when you're working really hard.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's in year 10 at the moment, or year 11, or even year 12, as to what they need to do to achieve their best?
Yeah, I just even said to my son here, and you to the the younger generation coming through, you've only got one chance in being at school. Because I remember when I finished school, I miss it. And now my daughters talk about it, so they miss it. So, you only get one chance in, doing so well, and I said to them, everyone's born not knowing anything. It's really up to you to fill your mind with everything that you need to get ahead. I said, no one is smarter than you. No one is, it's either up to you to work hard and to try and achieve something and make a standard for yourself. And I think with the culture these days, with the young people these days, they're so bombarded and so pressured by all these standards they got to up with it. They lose knowing and realizing, this is my priority. This is my priority is school. That's what I tell my son. Your priority is schools. Your priority is nothing else. Because then once school's finished, then you become an adult, and then there are all the other, all the other responsibilities you're going to take. So growing up, just do well. Just try and do. And these days, man, I said to everyone, I say, if I do HSC now, I'll get 100%. Everything is online. Past papers is online. I said to I always send my kids to the board of studies, the past papers, the exams, the questions and the answers. And I'm just thinking, the resources are there now. Just work hard. You've only got this little window to work hard, and you set yourself up for life. Because that's how I set myself up. Even though it was hard work. And if I can do it, raising a baby at 17, and pursuing university and getting into university, just got to work hard and achieve something for yourself, and realizing it's not just because your mom's pushing you, your dad's pushing it. It is internalizing it to them, for them to realize it's actually for them. Because I think that's what drove me too, was because I wasn't doing because of what mom's telling me, you're going to do well, you're going to be successful. It was because I looked at it was a means to my end. It was a means to me of who I am, want to be a person. I looked at it and I thought I want to give my son the best future, because, I brought him to this world. So I wanted to give him that best future. And the only way is for me to do that is, to work hard, study hard. And you've only got little time to do it. And after that, it's crazy adult life.
100%. It gets harder after that, doesn't it?
Yes.
Who,
Yeah.
who were your inspirations then? Who did you take inspiration from on that journey?
Mum. Yeah. So, she's always, I'm getting all teary even now I'm talking about it. I lost her in 2015 to terrible cancer, which was short notice. Like we went to the doctors in May, and by October we lost her. So it was like, so she's always been my stronghold. And I think when I felt pregnant, and then she's the one who pushed me to go back to school. She said, you've come from Fiji, we've got a big family. I'm working 2 jobs at a time, and you've got your siblings. Be in Australia, like in Fiji, you have to walk, you have to walk kilometers just to get to school, or you have to find your bus fare just to get to high school. But like, you're here now, why don't you go back to school? So, and since then, she's pushed me to always, and supported me. We've always close tied in church, and she's always inspired me. She's always a strong woman of God. Always works hard, and I don't even see her partying or anything, or a lot of friends, but she has a group of friends. But like, just seeing her, the way she lived her life, and how she was so focused on just bringing us up and giving us a good life. And I thought, I need to do the same, because I brought a child into this world. I need to also do the same. And yeah, she helped me got my driver's license. Now, even though she was a breadwinner, and because when you don't have your papers, back then, you're not entitled to Centrelink. You're not entitled to, concession cards or anything. So on top of looking after us as siblings, we have to look after Ray as well. Ray, my younger son. So, so she helped me put money aside and say, okay, go and do your driver's license. Got my driver's license, was able to drive to, uni. Even when I have my kids, she would, at a drop of a hat, she will leave work if they're sick, and always help me with childcare. And I was very blessed, just to have her. And I think for mothers, it's so important to just support your children, even if they fall pregnant, even if they, they've made a mistake, or they're into something that, that's disappointing. Just, you're the only ones that are going to pick them up, as a parent. And the only source of, someone they can be vulnerable to is to mum or dad. They can be, they can be abstract with, they can be honest with, and they can be vulnerable with. So, and yeah, she is my inspiration. Like, she's, even with footy. Yeah, she would look after the kids. Yeah, she would look after the kids when I go to work, or So I'm getting a bit teary.
Sorry, look, I'm terribly sorry for your loss, but I can see what an amazing person your mum was, and you can see that reflected in you. Those, obviously, the traits that she had come out very clear in you as well.
She's strong woman, very, very. They always, it's funny, the community of Sydney knows well of my mum, especially because when we have church meetings and church gatherings from other different churches will come together, she's always the loud one and the happy one. Makes everyone's comfortable. Always, if you're walking out the door, she will go and pack your food and go, here, take this home. She's they call her Auntie Sugar because she's so sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you spoke briefly, like, when you said when you were going to school, being athletic was important to you. When did that start to become? When did you find that, hang on, I really enjoy challenging myself athletically? When does fitness sort of become part of your life?
And I think, I believe I picked it up when I was really young. Growing up with my grandparents, they've instilled this. They used to train me to do, like, we had athletics competition in primary school. They used to train me when I was a little girl, to do well in athletics. And I think from that, when I came over to Australia, I carried it across to to high school. And then even when I had the kids, I find that it's the best way for me to unwind. It's the best way for me to relax. And I find too, having so many kids and studying and working and being on my own, I find that was my own time. It's my own time to sort of just I get the kids, I'll go to the gym, and that's my own time. It's my own time to de-stress, and even not only that, like, I think always, this is my philosophy, I'm a single mom. If anything happens to me, who's going to look after my kids? because I find health was a big thing for me. So then I can feel better, I feel healthy, I can always give more to my kids. And what I find is, if I want to go for a gym session at night, and the kids, while they're doing their homework, I'll go out for a quick half an hour session, and I'll come back, I'll feel great. I've got so much energy, and well, that's what I find. I honestly would say, some people would say to me, how do you cope? And I said, I actually stay fit. I've always joined the gym since all my life. I've always had a gym membership. I've always worked out. I've always trained. So that's why it was so easy for me to transition from that to straight into footy, because I've always been fit. I've always trained and stayed healthy. So it was something that was just part of my life growing up, and I've picked it up. And the more responsibilities I had and the more stresses of life, I find that was my outlet. And I wasn't even into any team sport or anything, and that was just my outlet. Even during my lunch hours at Parent Council and other councils, I would just, instead of going out and having lunches, I would just go out and have a quick 30-minute session or an hour session at the gym. So it was always embedded in me. So, yeah.
Where did your love of football come from?
I have to blame
you're Fijian, of course.
Yeah, I have to blame my eldest son, Ray. He he was very good in footy. I remember when they were growing up, I had Ray at football, at rugby league, and my younger three, because it works for me, I've got them all into tennis, because they all can train at the same time, but different age groups, and golf. And my mum used to go, they're Fijian kids, why are you putting them into tennis and golf? And to me, it was like, it works. While Ray's at training at rugby league, they can all train in one place at the same time, but at different, So then when Ray finished off his footy, when he was still going his footy, I usually just play Ostag or touch here in the Penrith region. Then he said to me, Mel, why don't you go try out, try and play footy? And he actually saw a newspaper article in the Penrith Press, and it asked for players for, it was called the Emus, the Penrith Emus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll go down. I went down and trained with them. In the first game, I almost died. I cried and I ran off the field when I got tackled. And then my coach said, you get back in there. Don't you dare get off. So, after the first game, I loved it. And, so it's my son. So he said, and I said to him, I'm going to know how to play. So he, showed me some videos. We would go down to the park. He will show me, we'll kick the ball around, do some passing, do some drills. So, and they would, he'd love coming to all my games. And it was good. And after 4 games, I got selected for New South Wales Women's, and I was terrified.
After 4 games. How long ago was this?
It was just, I didn't even know that there was scouting for it was a New South Wales development squad, 15 squad. Yeah, and I was a winger. So I'm always because I was fast, and I usually just play fullback or wing. I was terrified because I had no idea what I was doing in footy.
How long ago was that?
That was, oh my goodness, that was 2012 or 20. So I started playing footy at 34.
Wow.
So so by 34 I thought, and here I am running around, bouncing around with all the young girls playing, and I thought, and then when I realized I was good at it, I thought I could actually make something good out of it.